get in?
They can't get in.
What do you mean?
They can
To
watch it.
watch?
Yeah, so they go to the homepage
Yep.
and then press view live meetings and the link to the YouTube is right there.
Okay.
All right, we just
Or
went
they can
live.
All right, I'll just say it, we're live?
YouTube-
I think so.
Yes.
You could just YouTube Millis Government Meetings
But you can go to the homepage,
and press view
view live meetings,
and the link is right there.
and it's right there.
Yes.
Okay. We're on, right?
We're live.
Okay, welcome to the, what day do we have today?
October 7th.
Welcome to the October 7th Select Board meeting. I just want to reiterate that you can get on to live stream if you just go onto the town website and you go to, right there on the homepage is View Live Meeting,
I'm gonna watch it on my phone.
and you can just press View Live Meeting, and the link will be right there for Zoom. So that's
YouTube.
what,
On YouTube.
on YouTube.
Yeah.
Right, you have to watch it on YouTube. Okay, so, we have a pretty light agenda.
It's on a nice little delay too. I just watched Victoria walk back in.
Oh, really? We have a pretty good, short agenda tonight, but let's start off with, some announcements. Who wants to make the announcements?
I can if you want.
Go ahead.
Okay, there's a bunch of events coming up in the near future. We have the cemetery stroll that is coming up, put on by the rec department. And that is an all-ages event on Saturday, October 12th. You can find more information on the Recreation Department page. There's also a Halloween party and touch-a-truck coming up, and that is Saturday, October 26th, from 1 to 3 p.m. Also on that very same day, Saturday, October 26th, there's going to be the Lions Holiday Bazaar, and that's going to be at the middle high school. And there'll be a bunch of craft vendors and such available there. So that's a great day with two excellent events really close in proximity to each other. And
I'm doing both.
What about this book sale?
oh,
I know that's not on here, but it
It's not.
appears to be
yes,
here.
there's a book sale for the Millis Public Library on October 18th through the 20th. It is there on Saturday from 9 to 1. There will be free coffee. Everyone is welcome. The free coffee is donated by the New England Coffee Company. There'll be door prizes and, of course, the book sale. And then Sunday from 1 to 3 is a $5 bag sale for the book sale. And then I think the last thing we were going to talk about for announcements was the successful fire department open
Yep.
house.
Yep, I don't know if everybody can see, but I'm wearing my proud fire shirt that I picked up on Sunday. Wonderful event at the fire station, they have it every year. This one was, I don't know if it was more packed, but maybe it was the weather, because it was
It was packed.
spectacular. And it was packed, and it was just great. And it went from 10 to 2, and I think we all want to thank Otis for putting that together, which he does every year, and he outdoes himself every year. So that was a wonderful event. Okay, now we're going to get to some appointments.
Yes, Madam Chair, in your packets, there is a memo from the Library Director, Kim Tolson, recommending the appointment of Maria Little to the position of on-call library assistant. So upon her recommendation, I am requesting that the board ratify my appointment of Maria Little as an on-call library assistant, pending a successful query and physical.
Okay.
I move to ratify the town administrator's appointment of Maria Little as an on-call library assistant pending a successful query and physical result.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Next.
Thank you. Also in your packet is an email from Kathleen Smith, our interim town clerk, requesting that George Ryan and Nicole Riley be appointed as election workers. So I'm requesting that the board ratify my appointment of George Ryan and Nicole Riley as election workers pending their successful query.
I move to ratify the town administrator's appointment of George Ryan and Nicole Riley as election workers pending successful query results.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
Thank you. And again, in your packet is a email from Anne Marie, who's here this evening, our COA director, recommending the appointment of Mr. James D. Murphy of Millis for the position of an additional council on aging driver. So I am recommending or requesting that the board ratify my appointment of James Murphy as a council on aging driver pending a successful query and physical.
Did you want to say anything, Emery? Nope, okay, good.
Okay, I move to ratify the town administrator's appointment of James Murphy as a council on aging driver pending a successful query and physical result.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Thank you.
What do we have next?
So, Madam Chair, in your packet is an email from the chair of the Permanent Building Committee and School Building Committee, notifying the board that they're recommending John McDonough to fill the open spot left on the Permanent Building Committee and School Building Committee by the departure of Jeremy Stull. He's asking that the board appoint him to both committees.
Okay,
I move that the board appoint John McDonough as a voting member to the Permanent Building Committee and the School Building Committee.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. One more?
Thank you. And one more, the same email from Chair Nichols. They're requesting that Patrick Nash and Anna Hurley be officially appointed to the SBC by the Select Board. They're the principals at the middle and high school, and they would hold non-voting membership on the School Building Committee if the board were to appoint them this evening.
I move that the board appoint Patrick Nash and Anna Hurley as non-voting members of the School Building Committee.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to some open session items. Mike?
Yes. So in your packet is the state election warrant, which was sent to us by the interim town clerk, Kathy Smith, and she is requesting that the board approve and sign the November 5th, 2024 state election warrant.
I move that the board approve and sign the 11/05/24 state election warrant.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Aye.
Great, thank you.
Okay,
The next item, Madam Chair, is a intermunicipal agreement with a group of Metro West communities as part of the Shared Public Health Services Collaborative. We've been working with them for some time, and actually right now they're assisting us with some work here in the Board of Health. And I'm requesting that the board vote to approve and authorize the Select Board Chair to sign the Metro West Shared Public Health Services Collaborative Intermunicipal Agreement for the Public Health Excellence for Shared Services Grant. So a lot of these services are funded through the state grant programs.
okay.
Okay, I move that the board approve and authorize the Select Board Chair to sign the Metro West Shared Public Health Services Collaborative Intermunicipal Agreement for the Public Health Excellence for Shared Services Grant as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous.
Great, thank you. The next item on your agenda, Madam Chair, is to review and approve a joint salt bid.
Here we
And,
go.
DPW Director, Mr. McKay, is here this evening to discuss.
Like Anne Marie, I'll get up and speak.
Well,
I
it's
had
salt. This is critical.
I had no doubt.
So this is our annual joint salt bid. I gave you a list so you can look at it, all the people that are involved in this, different towns. This is pretty good, and Medfield puts this on, they put it out to bid, they pay for the whole thing. They always ask, but they always put it out to bid. And so this year, we're asking that you approve the same as last year, $170,000, $170,727. And that is mainly for, that's the overall cost of snow removal. And that includes contractors and the price of the salt bid. So the salt bid came in at $58.24 a ton, which is $1.74 less than last year. Last year was $59.98. But when you buy that many tons, I mean, it builds up. That's a big savings for us. I mean, luckily, the salt shed is full from last year, so we won't have to go out immediately and purchase any salt, hopefully. Maybe we won't have to buy any, if it goes that way. So I'd ask if, I don't think the town administrator he has to sign the mutual agreement between the communities, and I don't know if I gave you that, but I'll get that for you. But you do have to approve the spending.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
we good?
so- Yes. So
Rounded
I'll
up to
just-
7:30.
I recommend that the board approve the joint salt bid for the 2024-25 season for a not-to-exceed amount of $170,727 and award the bid to Eastern Minerals Incorporated.
And authorize you to sign the contract? Okay.
Yes.
I move that the board approve the joint salt bid for 2024-2025 for a not-to-exceed amount of $170,727 and to award the bid to Eastern Minerals Incorporated, as well as authorize the town administrator to sign the contract.
Second, do we have to put in the Mid-American salt too? Is that,
I asked Mr. McKay that, but we do not.
It was in the
generally
motion.
purchase
It's in the
those.
Okay.
purchase, yep.
Yeah.
It's in the bid, yep.
Yeah.
okay. Second,
It's been moved and seconded, all those in. My mic is coming in and out, if nobody else is noticing. It's been moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Aye, it's unanimous.
Well, I'm glad that Craig, myself, and Mike all wore the same shirt tonight.
Yeah, well, we plan ahead.
we plan
One of those efforts.
And
Not too shabby back there,
Yeah.
Bob.
Honorable mention.
Did y'all call each other this morning?
yeah,
Is
so
that
all
what we
talked to
did?
each other. If
We have a Zoom call
hopefully
this
you all
morning.
drove by going to the transfer station, then you notice that they've started to take the skin off the building and replacing it with you approved that we were gonna do the in-house work on the salt shed. That's begun, and it's really come out nice, so if you can take a ride down, take a look at it.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I sent my son this weekend, so I didn't go.
Okay, so, you'll be back? Okay. That was that.
So, Madam Chair.
Yep.
I'm requesting that the board vote to open the fall annual town meeting warrant of November 19th, 2024.
I move that the board open the November 19th, 2024 Fall Annual Town Meeting warrant.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous? Okay.
And, Madam Chair, I will be going through all the draft articles we have, but we have a star speaker here this evening. The chair of the MBTA committee is here with our Economic Development and Planning Director, Mr. Weiss, to talk about the proposed zoning changes for the fall town meeting.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
good evening.
Thank you for the chance to discuss the proposed amendments to the Town of Millis zoning bylaws and maps, which will put us in compliance with the state's multifamily zoning districts requirement under Section 3A of the Zoning Act. So I'm Jody Garzon, for those at home. I am Chair of the MBTA 3A Advisory Committee. Right now, there's 8 members of the committee. We were appointed by the Select Board in October of 2022. It includes residents from Millis as well as local business representatives. So myself, I am on the committee, as well as Nicole Riley, Chief Barrett, Wayne Carlson, Craig Schultz, Owen Salerno, Madeline Usna, and Jeffrey Jermagian. Our committee's mission, given by you all, was to prepare a bylaw compliant with state laws for town meeting to vote on prior to our December 31st, 2024 deadline. To that end, we've been working with the consulting services of MAPC to research and bring information to the town, to residents, and to committees concerning the state-mandated zoning change passed in 2021. It requires the 175 cities and towns within the MBTA service area to adopt a zoning bylaw that will create a district where multifamily housing can be built by right at a density of at least 15 units per acre. According to the law's requirements, we're considered an MBTA adjacent community because Norfolk has the commuter rail, and we are required to provide the capacity for a minimum of 750 units of housing on at least 50 acres by the end of this year. So we as a committee met several times in 2023 and 24, and we've revised the proposed bylaw several times, including extensive revisions from its first appearance before the planning board in March, which a few folks were riled up about. It's gone through many revisions since then. The meetings have been open to the public. They're broadcast live on Millis Community Media. We've held townwide forums, and we've been giving residents the details of the state requirements and taking questions and listening to concerns. And we also had a survey on the town's website, which allowed residents to give their opinions on several issues that were related to creating the 3A bylaw. So what you have in your packet to review today is a proposed zoning bylaw change that will include an overlay zoning district of 55 acres. This satisfies the requirements of the state, and it allows for much-needed multifamily zoning near Route 109, but it preserves the smaller, more affordable neighborhoods in this area of Millis. The parcels that have been included in the district are either underutilized, underdeveloped, or undeveloped, or in need of redevelopment to provide good quality housing for future and current residents of Millis. With the rise of housing prices in our region, many younger people, as well as our older residents, are unable to find affordable housing to either remain in our community or to move to our community to raise families for the same reasons we came here. Our hope as a committee is that with these zoning changes, our town can remain a vibrant community of all ages and income levels with sufficient housing supply to accommodate all generations. So Section 3A provides that any MBTA community that fails to comply with Section 3A requirements will be ineligible for state funding from several programs. The EOHLC will make determinations of compliance with Section 3A in accordance with their guidelines to inform the state agency decisions on which communities are eligible to receive funding. There are many discretionary programs that will take compliance with Section 3A into consideration when making grant award recommendations. Those are community planning grants, Massachusetts Downtown Initiative, Urban Agenda, Rural and Small Town Development Fund, the Brownfields Redevelopment Fund, Site Readiness Program, Underutilized Properties Program, Collaborative Workspace Program, Real Estate Services Technical Assistance, Commonwealth Places Programs, Land Use Planning Grants, Local Acquisitions for Natural Diversity Grants, and Municipal Vulnerability, which is a hard word to say, Preparedness Planning and Project Grants, which we have looked into as a community. The determination of compliance may also inform other funding decisions by the state and state programs. And basically, whenever the state decides to look at compliance with with housing policies, they're going to look to see if we're in compliance with 3A for their discretionary grant programs or making other discretionary funding decisions. So our hope is that at their meeting this week, tomorrow, the planning board will recommend these amendments to the Town of Millis zoning bylaws and the maps, and that the select board will include these amendments in the warrant for town meeting on November 19th. So I'm welcome to entertain any questions or if you want any clarification on how these bylaws have kind of been amended.
No, but do you want to tell our viewing,
There you go.
Do we want to tell the viewing public what parcels that you identified?
So they are primarily where the Stony Brook Apartments are. So down kind of Milliston Road towards the end, and that parcel kind of hugs down around by 109. If you were looking up Milliston Road, it would hug around on the left side and then kind of go around the back of McDonald's because of the way those parcels are already drawn. And then the other parcel is the GAF site, and we have also included the Herman Shoe site. And in order to have it be part of the same district, we had to include a little section of that easement where the railroad tracks are. So those are the only parcels. There's the north parcel and the south parcel, and that's it.
Yeah, I think it's really important because one of the early changes from when it came out was the first draft had, first it had 3,000 potential units, which would have doubled the size of the town. So we cut it to 750, which is the required amount. But secondly, none of this touches an existing neighborhood. No existing neighborhood would be impacted by this. It's all on sites that are either completely undeveloped or already sitting in higher density apartment areas.
Right, and I'd like everything that's going on out there, the misinformation about this is just out of control. So one thing I'd like to say, which you shouldn't have to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. This does not mean that some developer can come in and just take this land and make this happen. It has to be purchased from the owner. It's not this just, you dream it, it happens. So there has to, the parcel, Stony Brook Apartments would have to be sold, and then somebody would have to come in and make this happen. Same with the other piece. So it's not a taking, in other words.
Right.
So, anywho, I like that it's downtown, within walking distance of everything, and not out in the industrial park. And I like that we're complying, because I know there are some people out there that think that suing, which funnily enough, the lawsuit has happened today. Milton is in front of the, in court today. I'm going to go on record and say Milton's going to lose, but that's just me. And these grants that are in jeopardy are real. It's not just dangling and a stick and a carrot thing. They're real. We do go for them. We some maybe depend on them. So fighting this, which I was thinking about at the very beginning, is not realistic.
And just one other point on it, too. I've heard a couple other things, like we left Ann and Hope off. Well, that was done deliberately, just for everybody out there. We left Ann and Hope site off of this. That was originally considered. But we left it off because that's our commercial future. We think we can put something in there like the Napper Tandy's development, where it's mixed use still, but this is highly restrictive on the parking requirements and a lot of other stuff. So it's not that we're not committed to doing something with Ann and Hope. We hope something great happens at that site, but this wasn't the right solution for it. The solution wasn't to turn it into housing when it is a great commercial opportunity.
Right.
And a lot of people have said there'll be huge cost implications with this, hitting the schools, hitting the police, hitting the fire. Let's not forget that all of these places will be paying taxes also. So there'll be millions of tax revenue coming in to offset this, should it be ever built to its fullest. I personally don't think it's going to be a massive development. I think this is a requirement. I think we're going to meet the requirement, and if worst case scenario, it is developed, if that is your worst case, you're going to clean up a brownfield site, and you're going to provide some quality housing, additional quality housing in what's already apartments. So I don't think there's a downside to this when I look at it, with this zoning plan.
Right, and some folks are afraid that we're gonna have some giant, 6-story apartment, building, brick building. It's 3 stories, 40 feet, those are the restrictions that we've placed on it. It's with parking, it's, maybe in Boston and Cambridge, it works to have an apartment building without parking, but it doesn't work in Millis, and we recognize that. So there is parking. There's allowance for open space. Right now, the neighborhood around GIF cannot shouldn't use that space. You know, it's completely locked off from the neighborhood. With a development that is within these guidelines, that would completely revitalize that whole neighborhood.
Yes.
So we have a lot of restrictions still. It's by right, but there are restrictions
We
that are
still-
still in here.
Yeah, yes, and the planning board and any other board in town still has the right to
Right.
place reasonable restrictions on everything in town, including this.
Yeah, and I do want to point out the height restriction, because I've heard this one too. I hear a lot about this stuff. It's not a fire hazard. The fire chief was on the committee. Our fire truck can do a 40-foot height building. It's not it's not going to make us buy another piece of equipment. It's not going to cost us more for fire trucks. What we have will service this. That's why we only went to 3 stories at 40 feet.
Correct. We want to keep it within the character of the town of Millis and not look like someone, you know, plunked it down out of Somerville.
Right.
Yeah, like Medway on Route 109 up there on the left.
But also, we want to make some headway on 40B. So this actually puts a higher amount of affordable housing within the requirements for developers. So instead of just the 10%, we're hoping to make some headway on the affordable housing list, whatever.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called.
Yeah, and since rental properties count 100% towards that, if these go in as apartments, that really solves our 40B compliance issue, and it eliminates the threat of something hostile coming in that we don't control, that we can't zone the way we'd like it to look.
So my view is, although I would not have asked for this from the state, what we have here is actually good for Millis. And that's what we've worked very hard as a committee to make it something that is good for Millis.
I like it.
Thank you.
Any questions? Erin, you got anything?
I don't.
We good?
All right.
Okay, thanks, Jody.
Thank you.
If you want to hear more, it's at the planning board Tuesday.
Yes, exactly.
Tomorrow
Planning
night.
board is
Tomorrow
tomorrow
night.
night.
Tomorrow night,
Yeah.
Zoom in or come on down.
So, Madam Chair, in your packet, well, actually, I just finished this earlier today, so I forwarded this out to the
Yeah.
board earlier today. It is a first draft of the actual town meeting warrant for the fall town meeting scheduled for November 19th. So I have put the information available, which is for most articles complete. And I'll just go through briefly, if you're not gonna go through the articles. We have a total of 21 articles.
Yep.
2 articles are additional for the board's consideration that weren't discussed at your last meeting, and I'll note those when we get to them. The first article is unpaid bills, and generally this is paid through free cash. And these are all the unpaid bills that we have for last year. And I know you're just getting this today, so if you have any questions about specific bills, I'm certainly happy to discuss those with the different departments. And these are bills both for the general account and the sewer, water, and stormwater enterprise funds.
Okay.
Article 2 is actually the second half of the marijuana HCA funding of certain items in the town. We've got 4 items listed. One is the social work services that we have for the whole community. We have the second part of the school resource officer salary, second half of the police marijuana training, and the second half of a school adjustment counselor for the school. So it totals $137,503.38.
May I ask a quick question about the HCA funds? And I've got 2 people that probably know the answer. You know. Will we get some of that in FY '26? Is there a half year, the way Carol does the accounting?
Yes, because there's a delay.
Yeah,
Even though we
Did the
won't be,
accounting,
we
yeah.
won't be receiving any in '26, we'll have received it in '25.
Right.
And so there'll be some available in '26.
So we'll get about half the normal amount, and then that's
And
it.
then that pretty much ends it, yeah.
Thank you.
The next two articles are community preservation funded articles. The first one is $15,000 for signage for open spaces. And I think you had some presentations on that earlier on the different signage. The next item is half the cost related to the proposal for the Lansing Millis Building exterior repair project for $125,000. The next article is our capital article, and we don't have the recommendations on the rankings yet from the capital committee, but I've listed all the items that are before the capital committee right now. We have the aerial boom lift for town buildings at $52,923. The Lansing Millis building repair, that's the second half of that, for $125,000. Police tasers, $96,518. Fire turnout gear, $36,000. The Freightliner dump truck with plow and sander, $264,850. And 2 transportation vans to handle special SD routes for $111,450. So that, again, that's all the items that are currently before. So I wouldn't expect anything would be proposed to be added to this. And the board can consider whether or not you want to retain everything on there.
Yeah, and they'll prioritize it when they give it to us, then we decide how deep we want to go into that priority list.
And at your last meeting, the board had said it wanted to add the road, sidewalk, construction, design, repair, and maintenance item. I put a figure in there that's been used in the past, which was the $500,000, so that's what's in the draft. The next two articles are the new articles you haven't seen since your last meeting. The first one is within the police budget. The chief does have the sufficient funding within his budget for the lease purchase of a cruiser. Again, this isn't requesting funding, this is just a borrowing authorization. And again, if you'd like, the chief or anyone related to any of these articles, we can certainly have them in at your next meeting.
If we don't have to, we need to fix this next time.
You want my, Mike?
if
Got
we
an
don't-
extra one over here.
Yeah, we can,
Slide that down.
Move the keys down. Will it make it?
It'll make it. Okay, that's better. If we don't need to come up with the money, we don't need to have the police come in here, I don't think.
and it's part of his normal replacement schedule
Yeah,
anyway.
right.
There's nothing
It's
different
in his
with this.
budget,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, great.
The next item, and I just wanted to update the board on this. We did just open the bids for the PFAS project. Winston Builders actually had the lowest bid at $6.4 million, which I think is a pretty good bid. However, that with the cost of the engineering for the whole project, which is in the vicinity of $600,000 for the design and for the construction oversight, would only leave us around $100,000 for contingency, which isn't a lot for a $7 million project. And it's been recommended that we go to town meeting to ask for a borrowing authorization for an additional $500,000 purely for contingency, so that we don't get stuck in a situation mid-project where we need a few $100,000 for anything unexpected and run into a problem with the project. So again, this is one of those items that we want to build a little leeway in there, and we hope not to have to use any of these funds. But I think it's been being involved with these projects for many years. It's a good idea to have some additional funds available for those contingencies that might come up.
We had to go to town meeting for the DPW building repair also for additional contingency,
Yes.
didn't we? And that didn't get used, or most of that didn't get used.
Right, most of that ended up getting unused.
Okay.
So, Article 9, this was the item requested by the town treasurer, having to do with trust funds. This is something that most communities in the Commonwealth are currently going through the acceptance of these provisions to allow some more flexibility in the investment of funds. It's still very safe investments, but historically, the state has been very, very strict on where the towns can invest funds. And again, this provides a little more flexibility.
So we've never done this before, this is new?
This particular one is new.
Okay.
Yes,
But we have followed very conservative investment.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
much to my frustration.
I see that.
The next two articles have to do with the sale of town-owned properties. We're still gathering some of the language we need for those articles, but essentially, those are the two properties that we're currently looking at. Article 12 is the water management bylaw, which relates back to the presentation done by our engineer from Kleinfelder. And it is several pages long, but it is what,
You can have this article, Craig.
it is what is
Send it right
required,
now.
basically, in order to meet the new standards of DEP.
Okay,
Um,
holy moly.
Article 13 has to do with parking and loading lot standards. And again, this falls into a lot of the issues with stormwater and the DEP changes we had to make.
Okay, who came up with this article?
This was through Kleinfelder.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you can have that one too.
Again, they're trying to keep us in good graces with the DEP, but also trying to give the town as much leeway as possible going forward.
Okay,
So Articles 14, 15, and 16 are all,
Those as well.
are all zoning articles.
you know you're getting those.
The first one is the multifamily overlay district, which was just discussed by the board and Jody Garzond. The next two have to do with two other zoning items that are currently being reviewed, and I think these will all be discussed by the planning board tomorrow evening. So I'm hoping by this time next week, I'll have been able to put in the final language in here and get out updated copies to you. The next several articles have to do with funding the various funds of the town. The first one is the Chapter 41, the Section 111F, Injury Leave Indemnity Fund. The outgoing finance director recommended at least $300,000 into this fund to keep it in a healthy amount moving forward.
Is there already money in this fund?
There is
This
some
isn't
money in the
new.
fund, so
How
this,
much is in there?
Yeah,
I can get,
what is
I don't
it?
have that off the top of my head, but I
Because
can get
I'd
that.
be comfortable maintaining a $300,000 balance.
Right.
I don't know that I need to put more in than that.
Okay,
Yeah,
we'll
that
get the
gives us a
balance.
right,
Pretty
that'd be,
healthy reserve.
that'd be good.
The next one is the unemployment account, just at $25,000 for that. I can also, while I'm at it, I
Yeah.
will get you a balance
Get
of
that one,
that.
yep.
The next one is the OPEB trust fund, again, which the recommendation is that we should have millions in that account. We are chipping away at it in small amounts anyway.
Do we
Um,
have million?
We have hundreds of
We
thousands.
have hundreds of hundreds of thousands.
I like it.
We don't have the 25 million, we got hundreds
Okay,
Yes.
of thousands.
okay.
Yes.
Maybe we don't want that balance.
Yeah.
But I think the important thing is, right now, what we're doing is we're funding it as the bills come due, which is the way it always used to be. But they actuarially decided that we should fund it in cash. And how many towns have done that now? I think it's like
Out of
two
the
or
whole
three.
state, maybe less than a half a dozen out
Yeah.
of the whole state.
And you do it.
And they're
by
very
having an
wealthy
override.
communities.
Yeah.
Okay,
You
I
can
think
vote on
Wellesley
it.
is
Yeah.
one, and there's 3 or 4 other communities in the state.
Imagine a $25 million override just to put the money in the bank.
right,
And Wellesley actually passed overrides to fund that.
Yeah.
So,
right. Good for Wellesley.
Yeah, so we're making headway. The auditors care to see that we're making headway.
Okay, I like it.
So Article 20 is the stabilization fund, and we don't have an amount of money set in that, because usually, and again, there may be a decision to not put any in the fall and wait till the spring on that, but that's something.
I would actually like to remove it for right now, because I don't want to tie, and we can talk about this more, I don't want to tie up money in stabilization if somebody makes a motion to amend it from 0 to $200,000 when we have, or not that, $2 million, because we have Tri-County and other things coming due in the spring that we have to fund, and I don't want that money tied up in stabilization. Absolutely support putting it on in the spring to put any extra money we have in there.
Okay,
But at this point, I don't consider it extra money.
I mean,
And
I would
every time
agree
we-
that's a reasonable approach.
Okay.
Have this in the spring, because at that point, usually the stabilization article is one of the last articles in the warrant. And if you did that in May, that'd be the last opportunity for town meeting to do anything with any available funds. And if they didn't do anything, it would float into uncertified free cash, and then it would be tied up and unusable for a period of time. So it does make a lot of sense to have this in the spring.
And it takes a 2/3 majority to take money out, simple majority to put it in. So
Okay.
it's not gonna complicate our lives.
Fine.
Tri-County bill coming due.
fine.
And the last article was the one by petition. I think I mentioned, there's no change on that. I had mentioned it at the last meeting.
Yep.
It's not a binding article, but it is going to be in the warrant, at the end of the warrant.
Okay,
So this evening, I'd be just asking that the board vote to approve the addition of Articles 7 and 8 in the draft before you. That would be the lease purchase of the police cruiser and the supplemental borrowing.
so we don't have a motion on that?
We do.
You do?
Yep.
And then remove Article 20.
And then remove Article 2.
Okay,
Hold on.
take your time. I've already passed
God.
7:30, so
You have.
who
Yeah.
cares?
I know, sorry.
No, you're not.
Okay. I move that the board add the additional 2 articles listed in the draft warrant, Articles 7 and 8, for police cruiser and supplemental PFAS borrowing, and remove Article 20 from the fall annual town meeting warrant.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
Great, thank you. And then you just request a motion to close the
Yep.
warrant.
Before we do that, what do we have in free cash? Do you know?
I don't have the exact figure. It's a little over 3 million.
Yeah, 3.2,
Currently.
3.4.
Okay,
And, yeah, so there's a lot in there, but it's used, we're gonna need it for
Tri-County.
Tri-County.
We'll need
and
some in the
other things,
spring
too.
for
Yeah,
certain
so that's-
things.
and what are we guessing Tri-County's gonna be, like, under $1 million?
Well, I think that, I'm guessing,
Guessing,
it's 12,500 for construction per student.
yep,
So forget about tuition.
Right,
Tuition's
right,
always
right.
come out of the budget, but construction's about 12,500. And I think we have I'm gonna guess it'll be like 350, 400,000 this year.
Okay.
Is my guess for construction.
all right.
I don't know what enrollment's gonna be, but
Yeah.
that's kind of what I'm factoring in my head.
No, okay,
Yeah, I
Yep.
think that was based on our last enrollment numbers, which they may go up, you know.
okay. I move that the board close the November 19th, 2024 fall annual town meeting warrant.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
Thank you.
Liaison updates? Is that
I got
where we
nothing.
are?
yeah, I guess.
I don't have any.
I've got nothing since last
I went to the
meeting.
capital planning committee meeting, and so did Ellen.
So did I.
Ellen presented
I did.
a lovely plan for the Lansing Millis,
Thank you.
and we heard about other things that you've just heard about in the warrant. It was
Okay.
a very nice meeting. And Wayne Klocko's now in the committee.
Okay.
Yeah, which is good. Do you have any liaison updates?
No.
Again, Mike, I haven't been to one since we changed. I haven't been to one meeting, so I don't know what's
Sorry,
going
it looks like you're not gonna win this year's ballot.
on. I know, you're killing me. I think this was all by design. Okay. So no liaison.
No,
Okay. And he won.
yeah.
How sad is that? Okay, minutes?
Yes, I move that the board approve the draft minutes from September 30th, 2024 Select Board meeting as written.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous?
I move we adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor to adjourn?
Aye.
Aye. All right, another successful.